What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Almighty Analysis. Today we're going to be reacting to this story on Fox Business saying we're going to get hit. We, referring to the United States, says China expert warns of attack on U.S. soil. Honestly, that's pretty crazy. Obviously, with the things going on with like the drones flying over New Jersey and things like that, that's a pretty intense thing to just kind of forget about. I don't understand how these things are allowed to happen, because as soon as I heard about it, as somebody who lives in Oregon, I immediately thought like that seems kind of like somebody's trying to do some type of terrorist thing, and obviously they're just drones. But then you have Trump coming out and saying that they know where they came from, and he doesn't plan on vacationing anywhere near that area. That's crazy. I don't understand. It looks from the graph that's up here, all these Chinese owned farmlands in America, the fact that they own that much land in our country shows that something is really wrong, and our government allowed this to happen. I don't think this was like this for like anywhere over there. Like I don't know anywhere in China that United States owns. So yeah, let's just get into the video. If you guys want the original link, I'll leave it down in the description. Make sure you like, give a subscribe if you enjoy the content, and yeah, let's go.
Welcome back. Now to China. At least 17 U.S. military bases near Chinese-owned farmland, reportedly seeing a surge in drone activity and sightings in recent weeks. The sightings happening near bases in Hawaii and installations in Utah, California, Maine, and Florida. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall has been warning about the drones in focus these last couple of weeks. He says they're from China.
My judgment, based on my experience, is that those that are over our military sites are adversarial and most likely are coming from the People's Republic of China. Communist China is very good at this stuff, and we know they bought land around military bases. This would be very consistent with their policy over the last couple of years.
That is wild. So not only did they buy land, but they bought land around our military bases. And this has been allowed to happen. Why? Like, that's absolutely crazy. Do you think that the United States is going to be able to come into China and just buy a bunch of land surrounding their military? What is going on? And at that point, it's like our government had to know that this was going on. They can't just like sit back and just idly watch. Like, I'm so confused at how something like that is even allowed to happen.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville was with me this week. He weighed in on this yesterday. Watch this. Are we buying drones still from DJI, a Chinese drone maker?
Oh, we're buying drones from China. There's no doubt about that. I talked to a drone maker the other day, and basically I said, why are we buying drones from China? They have better technology, Maria, than what we have that handles a lot of the technology part.
Tommy Tuberville? Wait, wasn't he a football coach? Or am I tripping? That name just sounds super familiar.
It's like that works with different type of materials, different type of plastics. They make them cheaper, but they make them better. Our technology is way behind, and I guess that's the reason we're buying them from them. But again, that's something else that needs to be discussed with armed services, both the House and the Senate.
Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow. He is author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. Gordon Chang back with us. Gordon, I find this stunning that we are still buying drones from China, and here we are trying to guess what the drones in the sky are that we're all talking about for the last couple of weeks. My guess is, and I've been...
Yeah, the drones spotted near at least 17 military bases next to Chinese-owned farmland. the fact that they're even allowed to own anything here in the United States is absolutely crazy. And then people want to say Trump's crazy for tariffs. This is the problem right here. And like, this is honestly why I'm really glad that Trump was voted into office, because you have the Democrats who focus like very heavily on identity politics, and they're trying to cater to like the minority of the like the LGBTQ or whatever, and the like transgender community, but they don't ever talk about stuff like this. They don't ever talk about the fact that we are literally selling out our people almost. That's absolutely crazy. Like, there should be absolutely no way that any of this stuff is allowed to happen.
Been saying this, that it is communist China. Your reaction?
It certainly is communist China for many of these drones, maybe even a majority of them. You know, the increased tempo of these drone flights against our military bases is occurring at the same time as there's increased frequency of incursions and attempted incursions of these bases by Chinese and other nationals. Really, what is occurring here is that they are preparing to attack the United States from American soil. I don't know why we need an engraved invitation from Beijing. It's clear what's going to happen. We are going to get hit, and we're not taking the necessary precautions to protect these bases and to protect the American people.
Well, I mean, there's also, a weakened situation to admit. For the longest time, General Jack Keane has been telling us on this program repeatedly for years that we are outgunned, we are outmanned when you look at our Navy versus the Chinese Navy. The Pentagon released its 2024 China Military Power Report yesterday. It found that Beijing is increasing its military pressure on Taiwan. It's ramping up its aggression in the South China Sea. It's deepening its ties with Russia, and its crackdown on military corruption may have disrupted progress.
I'm just going to say it right now. World War III seems like it is very much upon us. And that's scary, man. And mainly because of the use of so many people with like chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, and things like that. I don't think that honestly the planet Earth could actually survive the kind of nuke power that either country has. On our side, on their side, like, this planet's made up of majority of water, and you think one of those nukes are gonna go off and not cause damage that's beyond repair? I believe, hold on, there was a quote, it was an Albert Einstein quote. He said, I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. That's something that, the way I take that is that we are going to destroy the human race. And it is going to be a reset of just how much we built. Like, humanity is going to destroy itself because we can't find any here's something that I've always never understood. It's like, why can't we all just stay in our own countries and enjoy living as long as we can live, and have our families and things like that? But it's always been about power, and it's always been about world domination as far as these opposing sides go. But it seems like it's been long overdue, because ever since even the Cold War, it's like Russia has always been that looming threat. And the fact that you get people like China that is working even more heavily with them and invading places, that it doesn't seem like this is all an accident. All of this stuff is happening exactly like all around the same time. You got drones flying over New Jersey. You got people moving into Ukraine and doing awful things. Even like going back to like the Democratic Party actually allowed us to exchange prisoners, to where we got a WNBA player and they got a general, and like a war general, damn near. This is absolutely crazy to me that these things are even like allowed to continue to happen.
Toward its 2027 modernization goal. China also growing its nuclear arsenal, adding at least 100 nuclear warheads to its stockpile over the past year, with 600 plus already in the arsenal. That number could grow to over 1,000 by 2030, Gordon. And yet there's no response ever from the Biden-Harris administration to Beijing's behavior. We allowed the spy balloon to traverse the country for a week before shooting it down. Why aren't they shooting down these drones in the air if they suspect they're from China?
There's no good answer. You have base commanders, first of all, don't have the authority, and they don't have the equipment to shoot down these drones. And the Chinese are noticing this, which means they...
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. How do they not have authority to shoot down these drones? Like, clearly they know what's going on, so how is it that they don't have authority to shoot them down? And second, what do you mean we don't have the equipment to take down these drones? You don't think that's a sign of weakness to opposing countries if they're allowed to just float over our country like that? You don't think in their head they're like, well, if they're just going to let us do that, we're going to go ahead and just drop bombs on this country? Like, that is absolutely insane. And for us to be so oblivious as like the United States that we aren't going to get hit by something like that is absolutely crazy, dude. This is like September 11th and like Pearl Harbor and things like that. Those things were all like things that woke our country up, that hey, we're not untouchable. And God forbid something like that happens again. But like, as much as I am against war and things like that, it seems like it's inevitable, and it seems almost like we have to initiate some type of boundaries, whether that be cutting off China and Russia and like full on getting into war with these people. There's no way that everyone around the world is just going to allow this stuff to happen. It's like literally this like taking steps towards Hitler Germany. And like Putin is an egomaniac. And we have Trump, who very much, I feel like, knows exactly how to deal with people like that. I can't imagine people like Kamala Harris being able to deal with stuff like that. But something needs to be done, because this is absolutely crazy. Like, there's no way this should be even like happening.
See a big vulnerability, and with those nuclear warheads, Maria, China is building up its arsenal not to deter. It already has enough warheads to deter. It's building up its arsenal so that it can coerce us and others into not doing things like defending Taiwan. They saw the way Biden reacted to Vladimir Putin's nuclear threats before the invasion of Ukraine. They saw that they worked, and the Chinese are going to do the same thing when they go after the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, whomever.
Well, I want to look at what's happening on the ground. A Chinese man was arrested in 2023 for allegedly running a secret Chinese police station in New York City. He pled guilty yesterday to acting as an illegal foreign agent, Gordon. He's now facing 5 years in prison. He and his partner allegedly opened this police station back in 2022 to track and intimidate Chinese dissidents living in...
Wait a second. That's a 5-year offense? That seems like something that should be way worse than that.
In the United States, both were caught deleting communications with an official from the Chinese Ministry of Public Security after learning that they were, in fact, under investigation. Gordon, you've been talking about this for so many years, these police stations. You first broke the news on this program years ago that Beijing had set up these police stations in America. Again, no response from Biden for years on police station. Why would we need Beijing police stations in New York City?
No, we don't. And we don't need the 7 to 9 other police stations in the United States that New York Post and the Daily call.
Secret Chinese police stations in the United States. There's one in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Omaha, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, and New York. So literally on the edges of all of our country. How is things like this allowed to happen, and how is this not talked about more? This is crazy.
Or have written about and reported. It's fine that they closed the New York one. I'm great that they did that, but they should be closing the other installations as well. It is just no justification for allowing the Chinese to violate our sovereignty and in many cases commit crimes against us. We're allowing consular officials and Ministry of State Security agents to commit those crimes and violate our security on our own soil.
Yep, great point. Lee Carter, jump in here.
Gordon, I am so intrigued by this whole thing. I've been talking about the drones for a while. My family is from New Jersey. I've seen the drones over my home. So many people are saying it's just not possible that these drones could be from a foreign entity, that we would know. And if they were, we would be doing something about it. How is it possible that this is happening? And what do you think is going to be different come January 20th?
Yeah. Well, some of these drones may not be Chinese, and if they're not, they're federal government drones because they're too big. They are not the drones of hobbyists. So that leads the question is, what is the federal government doing in the skies over New Jersey with such a large operation? And, there are any number of alternative explanations, but until we hear the truth from the Biden administration, we have to speculate.
Yeah.
As President Trump said on Monday, the federal government knows what's happening in the skies over New Jersey, but it's
Yeah, because there's no way in hell that the government hasn't either looked into them or hasn't put them up themselves, because that is crazy. That seems like something that would be a huge threat, and if they, I've heard reports that they know what they are and they're not any threats or anything like that. What? This whole administration of the Democrats, it's seems very secretive, which is not okay at all. From Kamala Harris not having any type of policy and them trying to do a little bait and switch with her and Joe Biden, because everyone knew when Joe Biden became president and they made Kamala vice president that's what they were going to try to do. And they tried to be slick about it, but there's no way in hell that these things are allowed to fly over our country, and they either don't know what's going on or they haven't allowed it. That's man. I really hope that once the Trump administration gets back into office that we put our foot down, because as much as people don't like to think about America being under some type of dictatorship, which I don't think that that's what it is. I think that it is time that we learn to flex that muscle that we've built, and if we really are as strong of a country as we say we are, then we need to do something about this, because how long are we going to get backed into a corner before it's too late for us to do anything? And before they're invading our country, invading certain parts of the United States and trying to take over and putting our families at risk, because we live very privileged. We don't those people in Ukraine don't get to live peaceful lives. They don't get to sit back and enjoy Christmas and things like that, because they're constantly scared of what's going to happen with their families, what's going to happen to their homes. And if that happens to the United States, that's never happened here. So what really would we do? Do I think we would fight back 100%? And do I think that most people will stand up? But at that point, if they're that ballsy to come into our country and do those kind of things, how are we going to, how is it that we even allow it to get that far? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just confusing to me.
Not telling us. And if it's not telling us, the story cannot be good. The
Right,
story
why?
can be ominous, it can be whatever, but it's not good.
Well, look, also ominous is this report that China is
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to
expanding its
not
nuclear
cause
forces, according
panic.
to the Pentagon, Gordon. I didn't hear you comment about that. U.S. Defense Department reports Beijing has increased its operational nuclear warhead arsenal by 20% in a year, Gordon.
Yes, and they're going very, very fast at this. And as we know, this is not for deterrence, this is for coercion. So they intend to engage in acts of aggression, but beforehand threaten everyone with the nuclear weapons if they don't do what the Chinese want. So
Wow.
it's very clear what's happening. The Chinese have already made these threats, especially since 2021. And in 2013, they made the most ominous threat against the U.S. to target 13 American cities.
Yeah, feels like a big bully in the global neighborhood, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So my final thought about all of this is that realistically, like, as much as I definitely don't ever want to say like, oh, let's go to war just to go to war, if there was ever a time, like, we defend all these countries that are in war and things like that, if there was ever a time that we actually need to step up and just, you know what, go at it ourselves and just be like, you know, we're initiating this to stop you and deter you guys from doing these things, I think now's the time. Something really fishy is going on, and the scariest part is that it's like it's happening all towards the same time. Like, everything is falling around too much of like similar timelines to be coincidences. So yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want more stuff like this, and I will be back with a new video very soon. Peace.